our next speaker is, sometimes I just have to read what it is that they do and what their background is, because, Gabriella, why don't you start coming forward? But because their backgrounds are so eclectic and interesting. So our next speaker is an interactive artist, an open source hardware designer interested in the relationship between technology and ecology. She also studied biology and piano at Cornell University, and she was just jonesing to get up here and play the second set. And she worked at the Cancer Research Center at Albert Einstein College of Medicine before abandoning it to become a wildfire fighter in Oregon. Okay. So, of course, what do you do from there? You go to ITP at NYU and create sculptural and robotic works that mimic environmental phenomena and animal behavior, such as oil-collecting robotic sailboats called Protei. Here to talk about that project is Gabriella Levine.
All right, thank you. As I was introduced, I'm Gabriella Levine. I work with a group called OpenH2O. We develop new open source technologies to explore and study the ocean. OpenH2O, it's a global collaboration, but this summer we came together in Rotterdam to build an unmanned robotic sailboat that collects oil, and it's called Protei. And this is Protei. Protei drags an oil-absorbent tail behind the boat, so as the boat moves upwind, oil goes downwind, and so the tail absorbs oil like a sponge. This slide shows some of the features of Protei, but ultimately the goal is to have a DIY reproducible design that anyone could build and implement. The concept was conceived by Cesar Harada, who was working in the Gulf of Mexico during the 2010 BP spill. He saw how inefficient the efforts to clean up the oil spill were, so he wanted to develop something that anybody could local communities could implement with ease and rapidly. Prior to being here helping, he was working at MIT, working on a new technology to develop a way to clean up oil spills. But he was super frustrated at how slow the technology was to advance, and when this disaster occurred, he felt really helpless to actually do anything, so he eventually decided to take a plane, head down there, talk to the local people, and see what he could do to help. So, repurposed fish boats that are one current way of cleaning up oil. They only collect 3% of the oil. They are very hazardous to workers, and they're super expensive. So alternatively, Protei is unmanned. It uses recycled and inexpensive materials and can be operated during a storm. Also, so we started testing out making a boat that dragged something behind it, the oil tail. And what we found is that the rudder on a traditional sailboat, when it's sandwiched between a really heavy load and the sailboat itself, and it turns back and forth, the boat no longer turns. So what we did is we started to make different prototypes. First, we put a rudder in the front, and then we saw that, okay, the boat could turn with the heavy load behind it a little better. And then eventually, we built the boats thinking, what if there were rudders sort of throughout the whole entire body of the boat? So what we ended up doing that works well is something like making the boat where the whole body of it sort of moves like a snake, like a water snake. So the entire hull became the rudder, and now the boat can make very tight turns across the wind, and so as it sweeps upwind, as sailboats do when they tack back and forth upwind, the oil sheens move down the surface of the water and get intercepted by this long sort of S that takes up a lot of surface area. So that's the idea for having this vertebrate-like slithering boat and using the hull to really be the rudder. So this is the first time we put the boat in the water.
Okay, let's try to set it before we have many short seconds.
Say it. It's starting to sell already. Wow, I can't believe it's working. It's still clear. Okay, now you're ready now?
Oh, I like this sailor.
Oh, look, the police guys.
Police guys.
Everybody in the van. So we got it in the water this summer in July. There were some problems, but you could see how it sort of was articulated. Okay, so Protei is not just a product, but it's also supposed to be, it's meant to be a sustainable business model. It's based on open source hardware. This means that we document, distribute, and share all the information about the mechanical design, the electronics, the software, and the hope is that anybody can build one by copying our design and modifying it and redistributing it. All that we ask is that people credit the website protei.org. But this also means that profitability doesn't come from intellectual property, but we found other ways, or we are finding other ways, such as consulting, manufacturing and selling products, leading workshops, perhaps advertising. But the goal is that when anybody could sort of build this design and there could be more sort of research and design globally and more rapidly for less of a cost, that something that could have taken many years to develop and that takes millions of dollars to make can now be made sort of crowdsourced. And so we can get this new technology to sort of at an expedited rate. So OpenH2O is composed of members globally who are trying to sort of get this new technology out there. People are including engineers, artists, designers, naval architects, everybody who shares the goal of getting this robotic sailing vessel out there to clean the oceans. And so, of course, it's a really collaborative project. The workflow is super open. Yeah, basically, its implementation really depends on people coming together, giving what they have, willfully, donating skills and time. So that's how it now works with people sort of sharing this goal of getting this boat on the water and doing prototypes, doing research, and sort of coming together in an online community and sometimes a community that's a shared space. Since 2010, when we started the project, there have been 9 prototypes. Like I was saying, we started with a rudder on the front of the boat, and then have tested out different materials and different sort of flexibilities to see what type of boats will tow a heavy load behind it well. And most of them are small, like that big. The one that we built this summer in Rotterdam was 3 meters. This one, Cesar built recently, and it's now going to be manufactured, so something that's made of foam, wood, and PVC, and we're going to start to manufacture this starting in the fall to be a small remote control boat kit. And since the summer of making this larger scale boat, we've definitely gained a lot of momentum. The project's taken off in a good way. We've had a lot of exhibitions where the boat's been in all over the world at maritime festivals, museums. We've won some awards. Cesar has presented it at a number of TED conferences. So it's definitely gained a lot of media attention. But what's next? How do we sort of implement this new technology? So it's meant to be applied in different ways. So one application for it is collecting marine data, cleaning trash, like plastic trash, for example, monitoring fishing, and doing radiation monitoring. So these are all things that we're working on implementing the boat in starting this summer and soon. For this year, we're also trying to get a small remote control boat kit that's manufactured. This could be for kids to play with. It's also going to be for more prototyping and also testing of networks of boats on the water that are all communicating with each other. We're going to continue to do workshops with kids and other people just getting these boats built in places We have plans to do it in Mexico, Norway, Germany. We're also building this summer a large articulating boat that professional sailors could get on and sort of give feedback as to how this weird boat with a hull that moves, how it works. And yeah, the biggest goal is just to get the boat on the water. There are still oil spills happening all over, and cleanup efforts are still really inadequate. So we have some plans this summer to bring a boat to Brazil and do some cleaning of the oil, in Japan to do some radiation monitoring. I'm trying to get a small boat on the water at Newtown Creek to try and see what it's like if a boat does some plastic trash collection there. And basically, we're just trying to get these boats on the water and get people to build them and clean up oceans all over the world. And you can find more information at the website or by emailing me. Thank you.
Okay, let's take 2 quick questions. There's one.
So you say the boat is autonomous. So can you help me understand, like, when there's an oil spill, you drop the boat in, how does the boat know where to go, and also what's up with the hull that's like a spine? Like how's it going up in? Is it going?
Okay, so 2 things. We're working on making it autonomous. At the moment, it's from the large boat from the summer is remote controlled, and it also has some sensing capabilities. We didn't get to program waypoints, but there are some researchers in Australia and the UK who are working on getting a boat that could be sort of programmed where to go and sort of go in a circle and come back. So we're going to use those technologies as that effort continues to get it autonomous. Right now, the boats are mostly remote controlled. With regards to sailing upwind, sailboats often they sort of tack back and forth with the wind at a 45 or 90 degree angle to their sail. So the idea is to do a similar thing. So it'll sail maybe at a 90 degree angle to the wind and then take a very tight turn back and forth. And we've tested these with the smaller boats that sort of drag something and go back and forth. So slowly, with these tight turns, it'll be going upwind, and therefore, yeah, that's what I mean by upwind. Not actually sailing upwind, but by taking tight turns back and forth, it'll be moving upwind.
One more question? You.
What's Protei stand for? Where did you get the name?
What does Protei stand for?
It is a Greek god that I think it's one of the gods of the sea. I think that Homer had referred to in the Odyssey had said actually Proteus. He had said I think he had called Proteus the old man of the sea. So that was the inspiration, I think, behind the name. Yeah, it's also, Proteus anguinus is a lizard that has no legs. It's a type of lizard that has no legs, so those 2 inspirations.
It's actually one of the oldest kind of lizards, right?
Yes.
It's like this big, right? It lives in a cave. Speaks
yes,
Latin.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Anyway, Gabriella Levine, everyone. Thank you.